it is Ali, and I am here with another episode of A Day in the Life with Ali. And I'm kind of chilling right now. I'm waiting to hear back from my agent on apartments. So I am sitting at, you guys saw my video the other day. I'm sitting kind of in the front yard, so to speak, of the house that I'm staying at right now, which is fantastic. I just want to be a little bit closer to nature, closer to the beach. This is a semi-easy walkable area. We're close to some of the main streets and stuff like that, but I'm kind of deep, like I'm deep in the heart. So I am currently, y'all, I almost kicked this whole table over because I have my foot crossed and the plant started tickling my toe. We almost had a whole moment. But anyway, I'm in an area called Sinza, which is close to Dar University. So I am close to a mall. It's about a 22-minute walk to the mall. If I walk down the street and around the corner, there's tons of vendors and they sell household stuff and fruits and veggies, and so I can get like bare necessities and things like that very easy just by stepping out of the apartment. What I really want is a place where I can get a nice easy breeze, and these places are nice, and they're very secure. As you can see, they have these concrete walls and all of that. But it kind of impedes natural flow of air because air doesn't do this. So every now and again I'll get a breeze, and I'm not big on turning on AC. So anyway, I just sharing a little bit about where I am. I have two topics I want to talk about technically, but I'll break these up. The first one is going to be 5 things that you better prepare yourself for if you're coming to Tanzania. I've kind of touched on some of these things here and there, but never really done like just a very quick snippet. This is what to expect. This is the real deal Holyfield from somebody who is here. I've been here for 4 months, and let me see. I'm going to tell you how many places I've stayed in. I stayed in 4 places: Jambiani, Kawangwa, Nungwi, Stone Town. 4 places in December. In January, I stayed in 1 place. I was in 1 apartment for the whole month. February, I was in Mikocheni, Mississani, Mikocheni again, and then in Mbezi for February to March. And then, so that's 1, 2, 4 places. And then from March to April, I was in Mbezi and Tanga. And now I am in Sinza. So I have stayed in a number of different places. Currently I'm in a house. I have been in mostly apartments, hotel style villas, things like that. So I've had kind of the gamut. I've had fully furnished. I've had kind of figured out you're furnished. I've had easy access, walkable access to things. I've had access to a bike, used public transportation, everything except I haven't used their public buses here. But I know a lot of people who do, or a couple people who do, and they actually like them. They're definitely much cheaper than calling a bajaji or an Uber car. If you want to save money, you definitely want to try the local bus. I just haven't done it here. I did it when I was in Tonga. It was just a lot less stressful in Tonga. I even rode bodas, which was a lot less stressful. I don't think I'd get on a boda in Dar. So I want to tell you guys about, I have 5 things, technically 6. I might give y'all a bonus to prepare yourselves for, because this is a different world than going on vacation. You're gone for a week, 2 weeks, 4 days, 5 days, something like that. When you choose to stay in a place for longer than a month, Typically anything over a month, even a month, you definitely start to become one with the place where you are, right? You begin to understand and get to know how the system works, how people live, how things function, how you need to function in those spaces. And so before you come, I wanted to tell you what you need to prepare yourself for. Number one, here in this country, I've been in, I'll call Zanzibar one whole city with towns. Zanzibar, Dar es Salaam, Tanga, Bagamoyo, Kigamboni, Morogoro, Mikumi, Lesotho. So let's count eight cities that I've been in. I haven't lived in them all, but I have visited them. Yeah. Anyway. And so this is one thing that I will say is consistent across the board. It's kind of probably the worst that I've experienced anywhere, and that is unreliable Wi-Fi. Be prepared for unreliable Wi-Fi. Who am I talking to mainly? Us digital nomads. Us over 40 solo female travelers. I mean, it's for everybody. But when you're thinking about, a lot of people always ask me about safety. Everybody tells me to be safe. Everybody just having access to be able to communicate back and forth, whether it is via some app, which you can use Wi-Fi for most of the time, or having a phone number where you can actually have conversations with people, local folks and stuff like that. But Wi-Fi is sketchy. And let me tell you something. While I'm sitting on Wi-Fi, knock on cement. Oh, yeah, this is wood either. Yeah, so I gotta knock on cement and metal. They have over 5 different data companies. There's Vodacom, which is the biggest one. They have Zantel, which is mostly used on the island. Tigo, Halotel, and Airtel are the main ones that I know. I right now have Airtel hotspot and Vodacom SIM card. I also have Zantel SIM card, but I only used that when I was in Zanzibar. And so it's something important to know. It's a good thing to check on just in general if you're traveling anywhere and you are trying to digital nomad, even if all you're doing is updating things and whatever you need internet. If you're traveling and let's say you're taking a month off, or you're whatever you're doing for a month, there's a couple things that you probably should check. I'll say number one, check the visa requirements. One thing is understanding the visa requirements for where you're going, but also knowing whether or not you're going to be in a place that has good Wi-Fi. And if they don't have good Wi-Fi where you're actually going to reside, you want to be in an area that is walkable with places with free Wi-Fi, like good coffee shops that have plugs. And I could give you a couple of those places. In Masaki, there's one that I love, which is Being There Cafe. There's a couple of others that I haven't gone to yet. Woodbury Cafe. There's also Cafe Asamari or something like that. I can't think of the name. Good free Wi-Fi, and you just walk in and pretty much, you can sit there all day. Another spot that's up in Mbezi, which is not a coffee shop. I don't even know if they sell coffee, but they got liquor and stuff and food and everything, and it's called Juliana's Pub. Wait, do they have Wi-Fi? Because I was there and I think I used their Wi-Fi, and I definitely used their electricity the entire time I was there. So yes, they have Wi-Fi. Sometimes you can go to the mall and pick up the free Wi-Fi, but then if you're using the free Wi-Fi, everybody else is using it. So if you're doing some things that are sensitive, you want to be sensitive about where you go. Please pardon the interruption. I don't know if it's midday. Matter of fact, let me take a station break and go and get my headphones, my microphone, so that I can hopefully drown out some of that. So I'll be right back, you guys. Come on. But anyway, that's number one, unreliable Wi-Fi. The takeaway from there is to do your homework, find out where you're going, what type of data capacity that you're going to need. Yes, I can stream here. Yes, I've done Zoom calls here and things like that. But a lot of times when you're renting, you're going to want to specifically ask for like 5 megabytes per second, things like that. 5 will pretty much do you okay. Or have access to getting Wi-Fi yourself. Can you do that? Number 2 is expensive data. What to prepare yourself for. If you are going to go and get a SIM card, you're going to be here for longer than 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks, and you're going to need a way to communicate. You're going to want a hotspot, and you're going to want or a SIM card. Ideally, if you have a couple things with that. Number 1, you need an unlocked phone, or you're going to have to buy a phone. If your phone is unlocked, it is not going to work. It doesn't matter what kind of well wishes, what kind of prayers, what kind of seances you put on it. It ain't going to work. They cannot do it with a phone that is not locked. And specifically, if you're buying phones from different countries, experience this with a friend. So it's always better to buy an unlocked phone, pay the extra $10-15, whatever it ends up being, to get an unlocked phone. You know, somebody's gonna be like, it's $200 for unlocked. If you travel a lot and you need to pop in a SIM card so that you're using one device, I can't tell you how critical and how important, how much easier it is to have everything on one device. I think I shared with the mobile money thing. You know, go and check my YouTube video out for that to see how that works and how it ties into everything. So if you've got one device that's got everything on it, it actually works really well. And that's specifically for the things that you are utilizing day to day. You kind of want that all kind of packaged up, right? So getting data, SIM card. So an unlocked phone is required. In order to get a SIM card, these are the things that are required. You need to have a fingerprint in the system. Most people who have traveled back and forth internationally should have a fingerprint in the system. When you come back through customs, you should have a fingerprint. Let me think about that. Is that always the case? Yes, typically, because they're going to want you to put your fingers down, yada yada. So what I'm finding is that not everybody is in the system. So if you're not in the system, if your fingerprint is not in the system, then you cannot get a SIM card here. You have to get someone who is Tanzanian to get that card for you. To get the card, SIM card, whether the SIM card is for a phone, whether you're trying to buy a phone, or whether you're trying to get a hotspot, because the hotspot requires a SIM card too. So I myself was able to get my own cards and everything myself. I'm actually using a hotspot that I borrowed from a friend or bought from a friend, and so it's tied to a Tanzanian number or to somebody else in Tanzania. I'm going to switch all of that out and get my own, with my own name, my own number. I prefer that personally. But those are some of the caveats. Like, you want to just make sure, unlock phone, make sure your fingerprint is in the system. I know we'd be like, oh, you ain't get my fingerprint, but you guys, when you come back to customs, you do your fingerprints anyway. So they got it anyway. You got a passport, they got your information. It makes it easier for you to be able to function and move around in this space, okay? Why do you need, what is the benefit of having data over just Wi-Fi? So data, you can make phone calls, direct phone calls, and, well, I shouldn't say data, you can do that, but with data you have access to buy phone plans with a SIM card and SMS plans. And so you can buy, like right now, I think I bought 1,000 SMS messages for 1,500 or 1,000 T-shillings, which is that's about 40 cents or something like that, for 1,000 SMS messages, so I can message. Not everybody here has WhatsApp. So it's like, everybody's like, oh, you could just use WhatsApp. Everybody doesn't use WhatsApp. When you start to go to some of these smaller towns, they don't use WhatsApp. If you want a driver, you find somebody who's consistent, you know, they were friendly, kind, or whatever, and you want to, you know, utilize them going forward, ask them for their number, or they will offer their number, and sometimes they'll say, no, I don't have WhatsApp, just call me. And so you want to be able to do that, especially as you're moving around, because when I get to point number 5, you'll understand why that is important. So in order to function and to be mobile, sometimes it is good, especially if you know you're going to be here, you need to have multiple modes of communication, okay? That was number 2. So that talks about the hotspots and SIM cards, right? Number 3, this is a Muslim country. Period. Point blank. What does that mean? So many things. Obvious is the way that you dress, and the way that you dress, I'm referring to women mostly. Unfortunately, yes, I am referring to women. And if you guys know me, you know that this is a toughie for me because, and I'll explain that why that is later. But with it being a Muslim country, they are very specific around dress and being appropriate. One thing that was just passed in Zanzibar is a dressing appropriate code. A dress code was passed in Zanzibar. And even though that's a place where everybody goes to get naked, they have now passed guidelines that if you are not covered from your shoulders, so even this they're saying is not appropriate, where you see people walk around with like tank tops on, and you can do it here. You see Tanzanian women with tank tops. I always ask first, and I always carry a wrap with me just in case there's an issue, because I don't want those kinds of problems, nor do I want to be disrespectful, but since I've been here, everybody's like no, and they point out all the other women who wear their shoulders are out and stuff like that, but typically they have on long dresses and that kind of thing. I don't necessarily always wear long dresses, but I wear long pants more so than not. You can't be walking around with booty shorts on. The only time that I have seen that is at night. So at night, everything is different and anything goes. You kind of might wonder, how is that possible? I don't know, but it is. So if you go out at night, you go out dancing, partying, and all of that, you'll think that you are in a Western country. But I think because it's at night, I don't know. But during the day, walking up and down the street, lots of people are covered. They're not as conservative as some of the other areas I've seen. Like Tonga is much more like they're even like fully covered in the face and that kind of thing as women. Most men wear shorts or pants, and there's really no stipulation on what they wear. Just prefer that they are covered in the event that there is somebody who wants to come over and be just out there. You can't really walk around naked. Like our European friends, my European friends, you cannot go to the beach naked. I don't think they have any of those here. So even in Zanzibar, you can't. Now your resort may allow nudity, but they're typically private if they do. So mindful of those kinds of things, because the fine in Zanzibar, I believe, is $700, and that can be fine to you. It can be fine to your tour guide. So let's say you're on a tour, your guide takes you out and does not reprimand you or say to you, hey, you need to change your clothes or bring something. They actually can be fine too. So FYI, just note that dressing appropriately for where you're going is necessary. And it's not just here. This is globally. There's a lot of places that are like that. So you just want to be mindful and as respectful as possible. Now, as I was saying when I first started this, one of the reasons why this is tough for me is because in general, the whole purpose of seeking a place of solace and freedom for me is specifically not going to a place that limits freedoms. And I don't mean like, everybody running around like with, spears and not, I don't know why we always think something crazy like that anyway, but, no rules. It's not that, but it's like very simple things. If I wear shorts, I should be able to wear shorts. I shouldn't, have to think about, in my mind, that's what I'm thinking. Of course, I totally respect and dress appropriately here. I would have brought half the stuff I brought, probably, but just thinking about being limited in something so simple, and it's not an overnight thing. This is their religion. This is their culture, what they believe in. My pushback to that is always, and I don't push back to them, it's just my own internal mental conversation that I have, is we were brought onto this earth naked. In God's eyes, we were perfect, naked, walking around. We didn't cover ourselves until we thought that there was some shame. Man said, this outside force said that there was shame in our bodies. There was shame in sharing and exposing our bodies. But when God made us naked. Something to think about. So that was number 3. So we've gone over 1, unreliable Wi-Fi. Number 2, expensive data. Number 3, it's a Muslim country. So number 4, I feel like this probably should have been number 1, but I don't really want to lead with this. Be prepared for bugs. What do I mean by bugs? I mean roaches. Even the cleanliness and newest of places, you will find them. The big ones all the way down to the baby ones. Where I am now, I haven't seen any in the house. There was a big one, dead one outside. But as long as he stay outside, I'm good. There has, and then my first place that I was at, I had none. There were ants and daddy long-legged spiders, but no roaches in that particular place. And I was actually by the pool, so I don't know if that had anything to do with it. They're little critter fitters and stuff walking around, but there is this nastiness that I associate with roaches crawling on the counters. They're seeking food. If they're coming out in the daylight, that tells you something. I grew up poor, so I grew up understanding the levels of roachiness. But you need to be prepared. More places, you will find them in more places than you will not. It is almost a way of life. Even though most people don't like them, they don't really budge when they see them, not like we do. So be prepared. They've got some bug spray here it's like all of their sprays are like nerve attacking, and you can actually see the bugs because once you spray them. But there are some that work like flat out. There's some that take a couple sprays to make sure you got them and that kind of thing. Yes, I do believe in using toxic things on these bugs here, because let me tell you, they are real. They are no joke. I am not playing, and I need your brothers and sisters, cousins, aunts, uncles, friends, nephews, nieces, all of them to understand what's going to happen when they come up in this house. Yes, I do talk to bugs. I say lead by example, and this is the example. So just be prepared for that. Because you will encounter it at some point. You may not even encounter it at your place of residency, but you're likely going to encounter it on the streets, in the markets, the food markets and stuff like that. You're going to see them. It's a lot. It's a lot, but it's one of the things that leads kind of to the next point. And it's kind of the not really this point, but wanting to making sure that you're in a place that is clean, stays clean. You've got the right utensils needed to keep it clean, and making sure your garbage is put away. I think they burn trash here. I don't think they have landmines or like we do, or garbage landfills. What do we call them? Landfills like we do, which we think that we're more technology savvy, but we literally go and dump our garbage in a dirt mound and cover it up. Sometimes I wonder if some of these pop-up mountains that show up, on Google Maps are real mountains, or if they're garbage mounds. That's another thing to think about. So number 5. Little to no, be prepared for little to no independence. What does that mean? So for someone like myself, who likes to figure things out, who likes to get out and explore, who likes to pick their own fruit because I can, and you are not going to give me garbage and I'm going to pay for it. Be prepared for this thin line. It's kind of a thick line, but this line between being able to do things yourself and only being able to do things if you know somebody who can get an answer for you. And I'm going to tell you how this works. So transportation. So for example, more times than not, you're going to need a car or a bajaji at some point in time. You might also need to catch a bus. And I mean, by bus, I don't mean like the local bus, but let's say the local bus, and then let's go all the way up to what they call their luxury coach buses. That'll take you the further distances, 5 hours, 3 hours, 8 hours, so on and so forth, over the borders, within the borders, to the cities around them, yada yada. They have systems set up here that, while they are very sharing and helpful, they won't tell you things so that you can just go and figure it out yourself. This whole, everything is kind of based and made off of you have to go and ask someone. There is no particular person that you have to ask, you just have to go and ask someone. And that means that you then have to trust this complete stranger. And so many people say it and it just rolls off the tongue. Yeah, we just normally just ask, but you're speaking Swahili. They know you're from here. I am clearly not speaking Swahili. I'm already treated differently because they know I'm not Tanzanian. And you want me to just walk up to someone, arbitrarily ask them where something is or where I'm going, and then just give all faith to someone else. For them, the question is so obtuse. It's like, yeah, why wouldn't you? That's what we do. But for us, it's like, okay, I don't know you. I don't know, we go from trust no one, be safe, follow your safety guidelines that you were taught, and especially as a solo female traveler, I'm over 40, I'm almost 50, I'll be 50 years old this year, y'all. That's a big number. What the five? Wait. The five. I don't know how to make my O big. I'm gonna be the big 5-0 this year. So those are the kinds of things that, kind of throw me off a little bit because I'm like, well, who do I trust? Like, how do I know? So you have to go off your instincts sometimes. Does it feel right? Do you, are you crunched? Are you in a position of need and you're, stressed? Couple things I say, number one in those situations is to do your best not to put yourself in situations where you have no other choice and you have no recourse and you have no friend to call. Try your best. Plays into so many things. Okay, so for example, I'll give you an example of the bus situation. Everywhere you go, everything you do, if you want a car driver, depending on where you are, like here in Dar, they have Bolt and Uber, so you can just go on there and find your driver. Problem is, sometimes they'll cancel on you. If you're using a credit card, they'll likely cancel on you. If you're too far or whatever, they'll likely cancel, or they won't cancel and they expect you to cancel, which puts a bad marker on your name. So you need to be aware of that. But there's this thing that they do. So, for example, we were in Lesotho, and I told y'all about the car accident that we got into, the head-on collision and almost driving off the cliff, and the trauma that I probably will have forever. Maybe that's why I had that weird kind of nightmarish dream last night. It wasn't about a car accident, but interesting. Anyway, y'all, I need a dream reader. But so we were in Lesotho and needing to get to a bus, but I wanted to get down the mountain. So we were up in the Usambara mountains. I wanted to get down the mountains because it was raining and I didn't trust the buses. Flip side is they drive on the opposite side of the road as we do in the state, so they would be hugging the mountain, which I thought we were hugging the mountain when we got in this accident. Not. So anyway, my host at the hotel we stayed at drove us into town and called a driver, got us a driver that was going to stop, do what we needed to do and get us down to the bus station on the ground level. Get me down to the ground where, I can't fall off any side of the cliffs. So in doing so, we get all the way down there. He stops in this town. He's like, I'm going to ask someone. We're like, okay, we're going to the bus station. What is there to ask? Well, they have these things where, if they make it seem like it's so complex and they have to go through all of these things and they have to set it up for you and all this stuff. Whereas if they just take you to the bus and you just ask. But basically the guy jumps in the car, so now it's another dude in the car, which they don't understand also is kind of like, I don't know what that means. That happened to me in Senegal and I didn't get in the car at that point, but they don't understand that those things are kind of like red flags for us. So if I would have been by myself, not knowing the driver that I was with, and then some guy just runs up and jumps in the car, you don't know what to expect. So I'm just going to outlay what this means and what they do. So they call a friend, and this is how they all get their money, right? this is how tourism kind of works for them. It's a little bit different than what we know. So it's not just the owner operators that get paid. It's the people who, the porters. It's the people who point the finger and tell you where to go. Because here, more times than not more times than not, I've seen it on both sides. Some people will just help you just to be helping you, and some people will help you and be like, well, do I get some money for it? Like they just wash your windshield or something like that. Dude, I ain't even got a car, so no. I've even had people yell at me to give them money for carrying bags that they never carried for me. You didn't carry my bag, I carried my own, all 3 of them myself. You don't get up on my face, right? Like we want money so bad that anyway, that has happened to me. So anyway, the guy got in the car and the thing was, oh, this isn't a great place to catch the big bus, so he's gonna take you right down the street and we'll catch one. And so we get out, he's like, well, I'm gonna go check, I'm gonna ask around. And it was like this big thing, and I'm like, well, okay, if this is what you do, then you don't have to ask, you know the deal. But it's to kind of project themselves as being a necessary entity in this process. Which means that your simple $7,000 ticket is now more expensive. So now we get down past a place called Mombo. I'll just give an example of this that recently just happened a couple days ago. And we're literally just trying to go 2 hours. We're now like 2 hours away from our destination. We get on a big bus, shouldn't stop that much. That was a lie. It took us almost 4 hours, and it stopped in every city. So that's the other thing I'm gonna tell you. They don't ever tell you the truth about the stops. They pretty much stop everywhere, whether it's a coach bus or a little bus. They stop everywhere. You basically just have to ask the driver and see if they will stop for you at your destination or your preferred destination, because they can stop. He goes around, he's asking, he's trying to finagle bus seats, and all this stuff like that. And so then he comes back and he's like, yeah, you guys can get on this bus, but it's standing room only, but they promise like in the next stop, people will be getting off and you can have those seats. And I said, no, because I don't speak Swahili. I don't know what agreement you guys have made. Once we leave here with you, I'm not standing up for 2 hours on a coach bus. The whole point of us coming down and bypassing the little buses is so we didn't have to stand, so we had guaranteed seats, right? Nope, we'll wait. Which means that they decided to wait. Okay, fine, that's up to you, because any bus that pulls up, I can just go and ask, are you going to Tonga? Because they all got to go that way. The only thing is whether or not they veer to the right or they keep going straight. Moja por Moja or Kulia, one way or the other. And so he found out the next bus that was coming, there were 2 seats available. He gets on there, he's talking to people, trying to get people to shift around and all that stuff. I appreciate it. So then he goes and tells us that the cost is 10,000 T shillings for this 2-hour bus ride. Okay. And then I give him the 10,000, it's 10,000 a piece. And normally from Dar to Tonga is 18,000, so it's only $3 more. Our ride there was only 7,000 total. That was a total ride there. This one was 10, and then he was like, for all the stuff I've done, he had already told us 7,000 initially. So I just assumed that when he said 10, he had already tacked on his fee. But he initially snapped off like we were trying not to tip him, and I just gave him another 10. I was like, no, you said 7, and now it's 10, and we're giving the money to you. So, we don't know what arrangements you made. So that's the other thing, is like, unless you speak the language, like, you really don't know what they're kind of setting up for you. So that's going to be in my things to make sure you do list, and is learn the language. That's going to be one of the things on the list. So there's this kind of this circle of the way that they function and they work together. It's this person knows this person knows this person, so everybody gets something out of it. So he may have walked away that day with, I think, probably 16,000, because I think he charges an extra 3 per ticket, plus I gave him 10, so he got 16,000 out of it for simply walking up on a couple buses and saying, hey, you got 2 spaces. Fine. One of the things that I don't particularly like about it is when they do that. That wasn't an agreement when we decided to take the car down. Tell us, hey, I'm gonna have to bring somebody on, you're gonna need to pay them the fee. So what they don't understand is how negative it is to try to trick me into paying for something that I didn't ask for. I simply asked you to take me to a bus station. we got here on our own. I'm sure we can figure out how to get back on our own. You know what I mean? But we're cordial. We understand that, the system, tourism system has slowed down. We understand how people make their money. But one of the things, if there's a message that I can send specifically to Tanzanian people and or just people in general, other countries who do this, is to be mindful of your tourists that are, or your expatriates who are here, who are spending money every day, have been here for a month. I'm spending over $2,000 a month here. And so when we're spending this kind of money and we're moving around and we're telling people about it and promoting these areas and these villas and lodges and buses and all these kinds of things, you have to think about, the fact that what you dump on the people who are here spreading the good word, right? And so that's a message that I would send personally to the natives, is that we are not the enemy because we want to be here. So don't treat us as such and kind of silently, subliminally, it's not even subliminal, but silently kind of force us into situations or paying for things. All right, you guys, thank you for taking a few minutes for that station break. I was talking about moving around, getting around, and understanding the level of independence that you come with may not work for this particular area. So that was one of the things that, I've learned over time. Someone is always going to say they need someone else to help, and because someone answered a question for them or something like that, they're going to be looking back at you to pay them some money, as if, so you're basically telling me you couldn't get here. Yeah, it's a weird thing, and it's just the way that it makes you feel, because my thing is just disclose all of that to me in advance so that I know and I don't feel like you guys are taking advantage. And all of it, a lot of times that's what we feel like as expatriates, especially as Black or Black diasporan expatriates. There's this, we got to pay for it all, and we shouldn't have to do that. So that's a tip I'll give about that. So that was my 5 things. I'm going to go over that. I have a bonus one I'm going to give you guys, but number 1 is be prepared for unreliable Wi-Fi. Understand that there's expensive data for phones and all that stuff, and what you need to do. This is a Muslim country. Number 4, bugs. Be prepared. And number 5, there is little to no independent status here. You are going to be required to need them for something. This is like number 6. If you are a vegan or a health enthusiast like myself, this country is Nyama, which means meat. Whether it's fish, octopus, samaki, octopus, kuku, which is chicken, just regular meat, goat, whatever it is, they are meat. But what's crazy about that is you can drive up and down the street, and everywhere you will see Mboga, Namatunda, carts or shops, trees, driving up and down the street, jackfruits this big, all of this. You see all of these amazing fruits and vegetables. You walk into a restaurant, ask for vegetables, and they will go, no, we don't have it. But you have kachumbari, which is onions, tomato, cucumber with like a vinaigrette dressing made with like lime juice. Everybody has that. Everybody will make that. But they will say that they don't have vegetables because they don't have a vegetable dish on the menu or whatever. They don't think a person is going to come in and order vegetables. If you order a shish kebab, well, basically they call it mishkaki, something like that, and it's whatever meat you want on a stick, so it's a skewer. They will put like this much of a veggie on the side with chips being fries. They never assume a person wants a whole plate, and they will actually charge you quite a bit for that. But it's so strange because you can get those 3 vegetables on the corner for like dirt cheap. So it's really interesting. It's an interesting thing. It reminds me of being in the U.S. It's like, okay, but worse, because I can get fruits and vegetables so easily here. I can get fruits and vegetables easier here than I can get meat on the street. You know what I'm saying? So if meat all ran out, every corner would still have fruits and vegetables because that's what this land naturally produces. So one of the things that I learned over time, and this is my tip for you, this is my bonus tip, is if you are plant-based, if you are vegan, vegetarian, whatever, and you go to a place and they say, no, we don't have, no, we don't serve, no, 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 whatever. Make sure I ain't have no flies in my coffee. If they say that they don't have those things, tell them what it is that you want specifically. You have to tell them what you want, what you're looking for, what types of vegetables, and then let them say yes or no if they have them. Then you can tell them how to prepare them. I typically just eat it raw. That way they don't have to do much if they don't have a menu. So what does that mean? There is opportunity, y'all. There is opportunity to come here and open some vegan stands and shops, plant-based stores, which hopefully I will be participating in some of those, depending on how everything starts to pan out here. There's so much opportunity for more development of those types of things. Like, who doesn't want more health conscious options, you know, on the menu? It shouldn't be a task to find fruits and vegetables on a menu when I can walk outside the restaurant and grab the fruits and vegetables myself, bring them into the restaurant and say, can you just cook these for me? Or can you boil the potato? So they don't consider potato like a vegetable. You could say potatoes and rice and beans. It's a lot of starch, a lot of carbs, but they have it, I guarantee you. And some kachumbari, or you know, ask for some cucumbers and tomatoes. They pretty much have it. If you start asking for eggplant, they might not. If you ask for okra, they might not. Might also be amazed. So I say, check with them, tell them what it is that you want, and see if they have it. So you guys, those are my tips, things to prepare yourself for if you are coming to this wonderful country of Tanzania. Just to keep in mind, write your little list down, make note of the things that are similar and the things that are different. If you guys have any other questions around these those 5-6 things that I mentioned, please let me know, because I can expound upon any of those, and I think I actually will when we talk about, you know, the dress code. The topics I'm going to talk about next, so make sure you stay tuned for this, do I feel welcomed here? Are African Americans, are Black diasporans welcomed in Tanzania? That is the next topic for A Day in the Life with Ali. So I want you guys to make sure that you are prepared and tuned in to chime in on that one, because I have received that question quite a lot. Do I feel comfortable? Do I feel welcomed? And I definitely want to answer your questions directly about that. So you guys can send me questions. You can respond in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Where's Ali, WHERES space ALI. Subscribe, please share. I'm also doing a giveaway. I'm going to share this. I am doing a giveaway this Saturday, April 4th, $50 Cash App. If you share my YouTube channel, comment on a couple of my videos, like a couple videos, subscribe yourself, and do screenshots and let me know, and you will be in the drawing for a $50 Cash App. That's all. I'm just saying thank you for supporting me on this journey, my safari that I am on. I have been gone from the States for 8 months. My story will be published. I actually may do a video of my story. I kind of have done it in snippets in different videos, but I may even just refresh that for some of the newbies that have been tuning in. Again, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening, and continuing to be supportive. Let me know what the topics of the things. Every question that you guys send can technically be a topic, because there's quite a few things that you guys send me and ask me on all different forms of social media. So I do appreciate that. I appreciate you guys being engaged with me. I just need some more comments on my videos. I'm too thorough, and I need to like leave it open-ended and make y'all try to guess some things. But anyway, that's about it for today, you guys. Y'all know the drill. Toodles and noodles. Peace and hair grease.